Alrighty, a very, very, very happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin. Today is May 6th of 2026. Hopefully everyone is doing just fine. It is a beautiful Wednesday outside. Kind of a little bit gloomy, but the weather feels nice, right? Not ready for the heat just yet here in the month of May. So I'm going to soak up every last ounce of nice weather as we get it here in the wonderful city of Cincinnati. How's everyone doing? Halfway through the week, we made it home. And boy, got to tell you, this week, it's it's a grind. And sometimes you just get those grinding weeks where things just ain't going your way. It ain't, the Reds aren't winning. Really, nothing's going on around the sports news and stories. And as someone for me who is writing solo, who is focused primarily on Cincinnati Reds, Cincinnati Bengals, there's just only so much that we can navigate and talk. And I don't want to be that guy who bashes anybody, who talks down on anybody, because I'm not there. I haven't played baseball at the professional level or any sport for that matter. But it's just one of those weeks where things ain't looking so bright. So I hope on a Wednesday we turn things around and we're going to get started talking about the imminent conversations that continue to take place for baseball fans, for Cincinnati Reds fans, and that is the struggles that the Cincinnati Reds continue to display on the field. They have now lost 5 in a row. They have officially lost their road stands, the first series stands, home or away, that they've lost, and things just ain't looking good. When you think we've hit rock bottom, we've discovered yesterday Emilio Pagan going down with an injury, clenching onto his left hamstring, and he was carted off the field. And I could just only imagine the pain that he's in. I can imagine what he's going through. This isn't the first time he's gone through a hamstring. And I just sit there for a moment and pray that this isn't anything severe that's going to take him out. I know yesterday on this program, I sat here and I talked pretty bad about Emilio Pagan. I questioned his ability of being a closer. I don't think that he was right for the job. And I think that we're paying him too much money to blow really crucial games. And then you see an injury, a situation like this, where you just kind of got to eat crow because you really hope that it wasn't because what you said yesterday on this show is the reason why he ended up getting hurt the way he did last night. So, I think highly of Emilio Pagan. He's coming off of a phenomenal year. I really like what he's done. I like what he is doing. He is, for me, hands down, he's a locker room leader. He's a guy who leads the bullpen. He leads these younger guys to success. And so, just because he went through some down spiel and maybe we have to reanalyze his position doesn't mean I want him to be traded. Doesn't mean I want him to get hurt or stepped away from this position. So I hope that he has a speedy recovery. As we learn more information, I will keep you informed. I haven't learned anything since this morning. Let me just I'm sure MRIs are happening, taking place. Um, let me see if there's a actual. uh, report on him. I don't think so. I personally haven't seen any official report on his status, and I could only hope that uh, all I know is a hamstring and everything. Let me see about the if there's been any updates. I doubt it. Yeah, I'm not seeing nothing. If I see something, I'll let you guys know. But this led into another Reds loss last night. They lost 3-2 in 10 innings. It was a walk-off yet again by Chicago's offense. And now back-to-back games. It was a walk-off home run on Monday and a walk-off win yesterday. And you know, like I said, I think you only could head into this situation and say, look, we gotta find a way to put these past 5 games behind us. We got 2 more games. We're in see, and then that's the problem that when I'm watching these Reds games, we get out to that lead. Our starting pitching is phenomenal. Andrew Abbott yet again went out there 5 and 2/3 of an inning. Yeah, he gave up 4 walks, but he struck out 4 batters, only allowed 4 hits. But in an outing where you think, well, 5 and 2/3, 4 hits, 4 walks, that's not so well, no runs was scored because of it. The Reds got out to an early lead, and it's right now all the attention is trying to resolve whatever the issue is out of the Reds bullpen because it's the Reds bullpen that has given us such an issue over this weekend. Sure, our starting pitchers are valid to have a down day. I get that. But, when you're up 2-0, you're up 2-1, and we can't complete games, that's when I think the struggle becomes real. So yeah, we have a lot of bullpen issues that we need to address and to focus on top of that, with Emilio Pagan going down, it doesn't help the situation. Um, if you gotta take away anything other than out of yesterday's game loss, it's the starting pitching. JJ Bleday, Nathaniel Lowe both hit home runs in yesterday's ball game, which was great to see. So we saw some offensive power away from the core of the lineup, which is consistent of Ellie De La Cruz and Sal Stewart and Suarez of that speak. So um that was great to see JJ and Nathaniel Lowe add to their home run record combined this season. Both of them have a total of 10 home runs. Um, but like I said, it's 5 in a row. We are now moved uh, to a 20-16 record. This is why we did. This is you kind of have to sit back and appreciate. Um, We just gotta sit back and appreciate what the Reds getting out to an early 20-win season to allow room for a negative impact like this over the last week and a half. So, look, we got 2 games ahead of us, with the Cubs tonight, at 7:40. We got tomorrow at two o'clock. There is like I said, we're in the ball games, so it's not like, they're blowing us out of the water. The difference is that they're completing ball games. What we're seeing here so far in this series is that we've been able, for the month of April, get away with one run ball game victories, 2-run ball game victories, because we were able to get away with pitching at the back end. Where guess what? We're going up against a good Chicago Cubs team who, if we are find ourselves up 1 or 2 runs in the 8th or ninth inning, they play all 27 outs. And on top of that, they're able to balance that out with some good pitching. So what we're seeing here is that we're playing good baseball. Yes, but we're going up against a better team. A team that knows how to handle themselves when they're down by a run or two in the late innings. A team that it doesn't help because we're in Wrigley Field, so the momentum and I was watching this. Jose Franco. It was Jose Franco out there. It was 2 on. It was 1 out. He was asked to fill in some big, big shoes. Well, Franco was missing the zone left and right, and it was very difficult to watch Jose Franco last night pitching. I wanted to rip my hair out just as of every pitch was out of the zone. And the only reason why we even got out of that inning, I have to give credit to the offense who swung at out of the zone pitches in this situation because they were hoping that Franco was going to finally leave one pitch over the plate where they could get a hook on it. But we left every Jose Franco was very hard to watch, and he just didn't have his stuff. And I'm like, man, here we go. We're not getting out of this inning. We're gonna lose this game. 2 man on, 1 out, and it's just all right, we get a strikeout. Then we get another. It's like I don't know how we got out of the inning. I'm thankful that we did get out of the inning, but it was almost like, man, just walk the man, get over with. Let's get back in this dugout. I really had the give up mentality last night after Pagan went down. And I'm very upset with it. I'm still out distraught, lost the words. But look, you got to find a way to bounce back. Today we have Brady Singer on the mound for the Red Legs. 2-2, 5.57 ERA. Goes up against Colin Ray, who's 4-1 with the 4.41 ERA. Singer's last outing, he didn't pitch so well. It was against Pittsburgh Friday. He went 3 in the third inning, 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. Looking to turn things around. Let's keep let's keep our starting pitching motivated and going forward. They really, when they could pitch over half the ball game, that they really help us out a lot. Um, Also, our offense, let's get out to that early lead again, and then find a way to stop the Cubs in the late innings. That's what's beating us, to be honest. Cubs 24-12 in this record, first place in the NL Central. Colin Ray last pitched on Friday against Arizona. Remember, the Cubs have won so far their home stands this go around. He went 5 in the third inning, gave up 8 hits, 2 runs, no walks, and 5 strikeouts. So, like I said, we still have a chance to win. Looking to turn things around for the Red. All right, the National League lookout here. I don't know what's happening to my microphone. I don't know what the interference is. I don't know if you guys hear it. I hear it through my microphone set. But let's try that. Let's try that. Does that am I still audio? All right. All right, we're gonna go off of that for now. I don't want the interference, whatever interference is there. But we are going But the National League Central lookout, as we head into today, last night, the Arizona Diamondbacks shut out the Pittsburgh Pirates 9-0. Uh, that was a crazy game. Pirates only mustered up 2 hits to their resume last night, and the St. Louis Cardinals and Milwaukee Brewers game 2 of a 3-game series, has been postponed due to weather inclements. Their postponed date is scheduled for July 7th, later this year. Today, the 18-16 Brewers will take on the 21-14 Cardinals in what was supposed to be game 3 of this 3-game series. First pitch is scheduled for 1:15 p.m. Brandon Sprout will be on the mound, right-handed pitcher. He is 0-2 for the season. He has a 6.75 ERA going up against Andre Palante, who's a right-handed pitcher. He's 3-2 with a 3.75. ERA. Tonight, the game two of a three-game series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the uh, Arizona Diamondbacks. The Pirates enter in with the 1917 record as the Diamondbacks are at 500, 17 and 17 apiece. Right-handed pitcher Paul Skeens will get the nod for the Pirates as he's 4-2 with the 2.91 ERA. Michael Soroka will be on the mound for Arizona. He's 4-1 with a 4.70 ERA. Tonight's ball game is between the Reds and the Cubs. First pitch at 7:40. You can check out the game at on Reds TV or WLW 700. All right, let's address the elephant in the room. Okay, if Emilio Pagan is out, and I can only assume that he's going to be out for a significant amount of time, and I'm gonna check as I want to make sure you guys are getting audio correct here through and through, as I've been receiving interference on my. He's going to be out for a significant amount of time. I'm gonna check. So, make sure you guys are good. I am sorry for the audio, you guys. I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. I don't know why we're having the interference. All right. Hopefully that eases up. So I apologize. I don't know what's going on. Could be the fan. I really don't know. All right. Making some adjustments here. Apologize for the lack thereof. Trying to figure out this cause. All right. So Emilia Pagan's injury, I can only assume, is going to be out for a substantial amount of time. I hope not, but this also lingers to the question that I had for everyone yesterday. And the question that I had for everyone came at the hands of, well, Pagan wasn't give performing to the best of his ability. He was giving a lot of issues going on early on in the season. So the question that I ended up asking was, what is the solution for our pitching, our bullpen? And now, since we know that Pagan is out, we have to ask ourselves, who are we going to rely on coming out of the bullpen in the ninth inning? I think I'm going to call this a blessing in disguise because it gives Emilio Pagan, or gives Terry Francona, it gives the Reds the opportunity to evaluate their options and to explore different possible relief pitchers. Okay. So, like I said, yesterday was a situation where no, we don't want Pagan to go out, but he's been giving up some close games. And I look at this, and now let's look at who we have in the bullpen. For one, coming off of my list, Tony Santillan. Probably the best option that we have. 2.87 ERA. He's about as reliable as a relief pitcher that we get right now out of the bullpen. To me, he is our setup guy, if not secondary closer. And throughout the year, we've seen guys like Santillan, guys like Connor Phillips step in and be this closer for not overworking Pagan in these situations. Terry Francona has made that transparent throughout the course of this year that he was not going to overwork his players and have the workload for his pitching significant. So is this the time? I would only presume that Terry Francona will have Tony Santillan as more of a preliminary closer for the organization. but he isn't the Reds' only option. Graham Ashcraft has to be added on to this conversation. So far this season, he's 1.02 ERA, 19 strikeouts in 17 innings. Last run he's gave up was back on April 3rd against the Rangers. So if you look to temporary place our potential closer and you want the hottest relief pitcher we have at the moment, it would have to be Graham Ashcraft. I don't know how well he does in critical situations. He hasn't been clearly tested as much this season, but he's an option for Terry Francona heading into the bullpen right now in the meantime for Emilio Pagan. Last but not least, I'd throw in Connor Phillips. Connor Phillips, we've seen come out of the bullpen in the ninth inning. He's had a couple of saves early on this year. He's 0 for 16 with 9 strikeouts and a 3.36 ERA. His downside, he walks a lot of batters. He had 19 walks in the 17 innings, which is probably the biggest risk. But as I heard, the broadcasters, announcers, they've talked about this throughout the course of the year, and they've indicated and expressed that, if you want, the only way you're going to get our guys comfortable in these critical positions is by putting them there. Put Santillan in the position. He's the best. He has the best experience out of these guys right now. Graham Ashcraft is a runner-up. Start maybe moving him into the 8th inning, then 9th inning. Connor Phillips. The only way we're going to know if they're able to handle the big, critical situations is by putting them in there. So I ask to you, with Emilio Pagan being out on the IL due to injury, who is the runner-up for the Cincinnati Reds as a preliminary closer? Now, the good news is that we are not a team that designates one player to be a closer full-time. We can mix match these 3 players, but these are my 3 best current relief pitchers that I have suited up. Whose is yours? The NBA playoffs continue here, as yesterday we saw the Detroit Pistons beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 111-101. Detroit takes a 1-0 lead into the series. The Lakers also lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder 108-90 as the Thunders take a 1-0 lead in their series. Tonight, tip-off begins at 7 p.m. as the 76ers take on the New York Knicks. That game's available on ESPN. The Knicks have a 1-0 lead. And then at 9:30, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who carry a 1-0 lead over in their series, will take on the San Antonio Spurs. That game's also available on ESPN. I want to transition a little bit into Cincinnati Bengals, college football, and we're going to bounce back and forth here because I have a couple other baseball conversations, but I want to keep it Cincinnati related right now. And the conversation that I'm kind of lingering towards asking you guys, and it's just, this is a strict opinion. We have seen Joe Burrow become a public appearance figure this past offseason and been notably paying a lot of attention to his current partner, Olivia Penton. He was seen at the Kentucky Derby, and he's also related towards the end of year aggression towards the Bengals' performance as they missed the playoffs. Well, he was spotted at the Miami Grand Prix, Kentucky Derby, the Met Gala over the last few days. Burrow sat down with Nick Resman of Vanity Fair and chatted about the football outlook for the Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow expressed frustration. Bengals have made some moves with Dexter Lawrence and Maffei and so on and so forth. And according to the Vanity Fair, Burrow's happy, to say the least. This is what he had to say. He said, and I quote, I am really excited about the moves we made this offseason. We need to get better, so it was exciting to see the initiative from everybody in the organization to realize that we're in an exciting state. We're in our primes playing great football, finding guys like Dexter and Brian Cook, solidify that defense with the young guys. Can always rise up. So we're going to try to achieve what we want to achieve. So the reason why I wanted to have this conversation, because I've also heard some, Twitty birds in the left field corner about this. And some people are proclaiming that this is actually more of a distraction. So on one hand, Joe Burrow is excited that the Bengals are doing some great offseason work, at least making the initiative to improve the team that from last year was ranked 32 out or 33 out of 32 teams. Let's be honest. And we've had many conversations about grading their offseason performance, and I say to this note, look, if you want to, the only way to see this succeed comes from what we now can do on the field come game one of the season. It doesn't matter who we get. It doesn't matter how talented they are. What matters is whether or not they execute. And this goes to Joe Burrow executing on the field. We don't know what Cassius Howell can provide for the Bengals. We know what Dexter Lawrence has done thus far in his pro career, but is he the same player? Is he a better player as a Bengal? Now, those are questions we are going to be asking ourselves all summer and looking forward to seeing results game one. But to me, the other notion is a lot of people are criticizing his public appearance, especially affiliated when he's spotted with Olivia Panton every time. And so some believe that Joe Burrow is distracted, or this could be a distraction to Joe Burrow staying focused. Well, let me tell you my response very quickly. Let's not judge anybody quite yet. Joe Burrow has already prove himself on the field, off the field, just what type of person he is. He is a person who wants to be a Bengals. He wants to win a championship. He wants to win a Super Bowl. And he's going to do everything he can. He's going to focus when it comes time to focus, when it comes down to this Bengals organization. He is there in spring camp. He is there in summer camp. He is there on practice days. He's going to be ready. There's no doubt about Joe Burrow being ready for opening day. But I also feel that this is very important for Joe Burrow. And we need, as a fan base, as a fan to Joe Burrow, support him as he's taking the offseason off for multiple reasons. When he's in football season, he focuses on the football. He lives, breathes, bleeds Cincinnati Bengals orange and black. So when the season is not in progress, when number 9 is not being called upon, let him do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to go to the Kentucky Derby, let him go to the Kentucky Derby. If he wants to publicize his relationships, let him publicize his relationships. Who cares who he's with? I don't know who Olivia Panton is. I don't, is no disrespect, but I don't care to know who Olivia Panton is. Who is she to affect the Cincinnati Bengals? Until I physically see Joe Burrow's performance out there on the field, then I don't care. Come this season, come November, October, if we're 0-4, Joe Burrow's giving up 10 turnovers and is missing cues and not the same ball player that we recognize him to be, then I will care. But let the man have an offseason to himself. Let him do what he thinks he feels comfortable doing. He's a free man throughout the offseason. As a matter of fact, this is probably in best interest for his mental state, because let me make one thing clear. If we don't remember the ending of last season, Joe Burrow was very unhappy with this organization to the point where it had the conversations. There was conversations about all of NFL. A lot of people wanted him to proceed with this attribute about going to a different team. He was on the verge of walking out of Cincinnati because the way that we performed last season, the lack thereof effort from Duke Tobin and Mike Brown, the lack thereof coaching skills with Zach Taylor. So we have no room to complain about Joe Burrow's personal life. He hasn't given us any reason to talk about what he does or doesn't do out there in public, who he was with and who he is not with. And I'm sorry, I'd rather have him with his girlfriend than up in a club. I'd rather have him at the Kentucky Derby than walking the streets of downtown Cincinnati, which is unsafe for anybody at this moment. So, no, I currently do not think that his public appearances, his attendance, his relationship is any of an issue to this, him playing football. If it becomes an issue, we will clearly see it throughout the season. And that is when we can address the factor. But just like me and you, he is a human being. He gets paid an X million dollars amount to do what he loves to do, and that's to play football. And to my last knowledge, he's pretty damn good at it. Let the man be. That's all I got to say. Let's continue the hot streak for a moment. The WWE, more developing news coming out of the current or previous releases the last couple of weeks. TKO is now being affiliated as one of the reasons behind the recent moves from the WWE. More specifically, this past weekend, as we were witness to the departure of the New Day, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods, JC Mateo, and Tonga Loa. The WWE is not individually owned. Endeavors plays a part of it. TKO officially owns it. And apparently there's been reports that TKO has enforced the WWE to reanalyze their payroll structure and have asked several talented athletes to take a pay cut, at which most of them have agreed to do so, but some who haven't agreed to take a pay cut with the company have decided to part ways with the company in result. This developing news for this reason has been reported on Wrestling Zone website. You can read the article in its entirety. It talks about Brian Alvarez and the Observer Wrestling podcast that goes on. And they talk about the new developing news, how TKO has had his hand spilled in the reason because of pay cuts, asking upwards to 50% of current salaries of wrestlers. And like I said, some of them have accepted. Some of them haven't. A lot of them haven't been mentioned who they are, but Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods were two of them. And I wanted to paint this picture. And this is okay. So the pay cuts aren't being asked from people, athletes up at the top of the mountain. So Roman Reigns is not being reconstructed. Seth Rollins or CM Punk is not being reconstructed. Right? Those guys, their security, they're safe. It's these younger guys. So let me ask you this. I don't know how much Xavier Woods or Kofi Kingston was making. I mean, they were the top of the tag team divisions for nearly a decade. They were a hot entity in the professional wrestling world. And they started going downhill after Big E suffered that catastrophic injury that led him to his retirement. And so their position with the company has changed from being at the top of the industry, especially in the tag team division, to being just shuffled in the mix. So when you're at the top of the division, you get top tier money. You get top tier funds. You get the quote unquote special treatment. Well, things change all the time. You were once a top tier wrestler, and now you are now not that same, you're not at the same level anymore. You've gone down. Do you deserve to still being getting paid to be at that top tier spot if you're not there anymore? And sure, this is not to go discredit whatever the history that Kofi Kingston and Xavier Wood has had, the career that they've had as the New Day that led the tag team division for so long. But things have always changed. Adapt to that. Now, maybe 50% of your current payroll is lucrative. I can agree upon that. But the bottom line is that you're not a Roman Reigns, you're not the Usos, you're not the Vision, you are not a faction that the WWE creative team is pushing or focusing on making sure you're in storylines. You get placed wherever they place you at, wherever screen time is presentable, and that's it. Therefore, the obligation is to renegotiate your deal because your pay scale does not agree to what you put out there at the moment on screen. Prime example. Last year, Tiffany Stratton hosted, well, not practically main evented WrestleMania. And this year, she finds herself not on the WrestleMania card at all. Do you think that her pay role should be the same as it was last year at WrestleMania at the top of the women's division facing Charlotte Flair at the Immortal Showcase, or should it be down where more ideal where she is? Right now, it's a mid card. Sure, it's working as a United States champion for the women's division, but it's not at the top tier aspect. So practically, you can't really pinpoint and blame anybody for any of this, to be honest. At least that's not what I think you can do. It's unfortunate. A lot of these contracts were implemented under the Vince McMahon era. Vince McMahon felt a little bit more generosity into paying his athletes. At least that's what is showcasing. So we're also seeing this transition in the pay structure to the WWE talent as TKO adds another year to ownership of the WWE. You can't blame the athletes. You can't really blame the WWE. And, TKO is a successful business. You can't blame TKO for what their progression indicates goes moving forward. So I know a lot of people maybe have mixed opinions about this, and I think you're validated for having mixed opinions. But we have to understand the full picture through and through. The full picture is that this is business. You know what else is business? College football playoffs. They're looking to expand to a 24 team playoffs in the upcoming future. Now I was reading this article. It's on CBSSports.com, written by Brad Crawford. I really like the article. I'm trying to find a reason why not to like this proposal. And the only thing that really pops in my mind is a lot of people, I hear in this article, people complain about, well, it now conflicts within the conference championship games. And I'm like, okay, interesting. I can find many reasons why college football playoffs should be expanded. All within this past year, I've seen clear indications on why college football playoffs should be expanded. For one, it brings value to these bowl games. Bowl games used to be the entity in the month of December for college football. This is where a lot of teams made their money at stadiums, especially these under teams at these stadiums. So the value of college of these bowl games have gotten down. Players opt out of playing. Players choose to hit the transfer portal. You know, I was excited to see Cincinnati Bearcats play in the bowl game this year. I was actually excited to see Sorsby play in the bowl game this year. He opted out for a transfer portal. This was before the incident, before the gambling factors, before the lawsuit that he has in play. I really like the kid. And I wanted him to stay in Cincinnati. He helped the team to have a lot of success. Didn't help that the bowl game was under rain conditions, and we got annihilated. And I just asked myself, what if? But let's bring back the value of the bowl games. I understand a conference championship means a lot to every team in their conference. But those celebrations only last 24 to 48 hours. Even today. I can't tell you a single team, maybe, what was it, Indiana, who won a championship. I can't really tell you any conference championships, teams who won this year. Really don't care, to be honest. I really don't care. It's just the college football championship takes priority longer, bigger, better than the conference championship games. So I say this because we should focus on bowl games, making the most out of every bowl game that comes into play. And I want to see a 24 team and also 24 teams in the college football playoffs starts to resemble what the NCAA basketball March Madness presents. And that presentation is that any team has an opportunity. Miami, Ohio, the team that kind of got some resilience from earlier this year, who had a strong run in their season. They went on and they barely made it into the 64 team bracket. Yeah, they lost, but just imagine the type of run that they would have had, the story that they would have told if they went to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 or the Final Four in the March Madness. The fact that the opportunity presented themselves in this situation was something that doesn't happen when you have over 100 teams in Division 1 basketball. You have over 100 teams in Division 1 football. This is a perfect opportunity to give as many teams an opportunity to win. Ohio State was not guaranteed the win this year. Michigan was not guaranteed the win this year. We clearly saw that. We saw that in the results, and it just proved this year that no team is safe, and you should bring that diversity in expanding the 64 or to 24 teams playoffs in NCAA football. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big supporter of it. And I think that is something that we should honestly do or consider and even maybe expanding it more. I think on top of that, and I'll leave it at this note, that when we start doing this, we will start figuring it in the outcome that the college football that players should not be allowed to transfer or opt out of playing at any point. If there was a schedule on your docket, pre, post, regular, and post season, no players should opt out or have the availability to opt out, whether it's for the NFL draft or for the transfer portal. This should only take place immediately the day after, just like how the NFL kind of runs more than likely. It should be available for people to opt out and to hit the transfer portal or declare for the NFL until after the college football playoff championship game is done. So the Tuesday after the championship game, that should be when the availability is. That's in my opinion, and I think we may be leading towards that with what we're seeing over the next few years. Also want to transition into the NFL. This is yesterday's episode. We talked about the two top tier quarterbacks in the AFC North right now, and that's Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, hands down. And I think Aaron Rodgers can't even be thrown into this conversation because he is still undecisive about his future as a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then for me, I don't even know where you place the Cleveland Browns at the moment. But I think that there is an importance to understand Aaron Rodgers and his next moves. What should he be thinking about when it comes to deciding whether he's going to go to a different team or if he's going to stick with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I believe he needs to make that decision rather soon than later. And I'm surprised that Pittsburgh is kept this door open for him this long. I don't feel like it's necessary. I don't feel like it should be. I felt like they should be making that decision. But as we get closer to summer camp, as we get closer to, preseason and the regular season, I feel like for both teams, the only options are going to become each other. So the question I would ask you is the best option for Aaron Rodgers to stay with Pittsburgh? My answer right now, and yes. If you would consider his next moves, the questions have to be, well, one, do you want to go to a team that's ready to win now and do you want to win another title? Or do you want to be able to mentor a young quarterback? If so, what team needs to be mentored? Okay. And could they use your experience? In an article earlier this morning, I was reading, I don't remember where I was reading it from. I think it was CBS Sports under the NFL section. They lingered Matt LaFleur along with Aaron Rodgers with the Arizona Cardinals, that if he went to a different team, that would be a team to consider. It wouldn't be a bad option, but it got me looking. Well, Cardinals don't have Aaron Rodgers or don't have Kyle Murray. They picked up Gardner Minshew. They got Jacoby Brissett as a backup, and they drafted a quarterback. They have 3 depths in quarterback. Now I ask the question, where does Aaron Rodgers fit among those 3? Now, the benefit of going to a team like the Arizona Diamondbacks, you'd understand that, look, this team is not ready to win now. They're probably not going to win while you're with them. But what you're going to provide to the table is the years of experience as you are looking to shape up the young quarterback they drafted. You're not really looking to improve Gardner Minshew. You're not looking to improve Jacoby Brissett. If you got any playing time, it's only in works to be transitioned into replacing, another quarterback, younger quarterback replacing you at some point. In other words, you be adding to a depth, just like last year we saw Joe Flacco in a group of depth quarterbacks in Cleveland. before he got traded to Cincinnati, and I didn't like that for Joe Flacco. Is there any room or does the scheme fit for Las Vegas Raiders? Fernando Mendoza. I say no. I don't think so precisely. I think that the I think that the Raiders are completely in a different direction and they don't need that type of help. I don't think you're going back to the Jets. I don't think you're going back to the Packers. So what other team out there right now that can use a mentor quarterback like Aaron Rodgers? And when those answers are now slim to none, then you're asking yourself, is there a team that needs a quarterback? Because Ty Simpson went to the Rams and you still have Matthew Stafford. So I don't think the Rams are looking for a veteran quarterback like you. Now you're asking yourself, are you still looking to win a championship? And if so, what team's available? And the only team right now that I see available is still the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm questioning. The question then lingers back around to, are you ready to retire or do you want to play one more year? And are you voting out because of conditions or are you really struggling to make that decision? And if you're in April and now we're now in May, you're still struggling, I would honestly say maybe the consideration of favoritism to retire is more than likely. But I don't know. There is a lot of missing things in there to say. All right, I want to finish off this show with a couple extra conversations. Pittsburgh Pirates, Chris Davinsky has received a 2-game suspension this week, as along with manager Don Kelly, who's received 1-game suspension. Davinsky, who intentionally hit Sal Stewart over the weekend, was in the top of the 7th inning against the Red Series on Saturday. This caused benches to clear. He was originally suspended for 3 games, but was ruled down to 2. He served those 2 games on Tuesday and today against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Don has already served his 1-game suspension in yesterday's outing. Also, the Detroit Tigers benches cleared in Detroit as they took on the Boston Red Sox. Boston won 5-4 on Monday, and then 10-3 yesterday. They have a 6:40 game before a day off for the Tigers, and Boston will head back home for a 4-game series. This came from Framber Valdez, who hit Trevor Story after giving up back-to-back home runs in the 4th inning. Bench is clear. Valdez could be facing suspension, which may force Detroit to find other arms coming into a week. And I believe they're taking on the Kansas City Royals. Look, we're seeing suspensions more. They're not playing around this year. So I don't know what the situation is. Obviously, you get back at you. Maybe there's frustration after giving up back-to-back home runs, but clarity is that, if you hit my players, we're not going to sit that likely for you. So, um, that was took place last night. And then I want to kind of bring back into it. We learned earlier this week that Tariq Schoolball, the starting pitcher, ace pitcher for the Detroit Tigers, has suffered an injury and will be out for at least 2 to 3 months after having to have surgery, removing bone fragments in his elbow. Depending on the severity of surgery, will depend on and his endurance will depend on how long he's going to be out, but you could almost rule him out for the AL Cy Young Award winner this year. It's kind of been a favorite, looking to three-peat this year. But it also opens up the door for a lot of other pitchers in the American League. They look at guys who are also out on the IL and Garrett Crochet, Hunter Brown, Carlos Rodon, Brian Wu. This really now opens up in the running for a possible Cy Young Award winner. Here's the immediately list of few guys that come to mind when it comes down to who could be runners up for this year's AL Cy Young Award winner. We start off with the New York Yankees, Cam Schlittlier, who so far has pitched 1.52 ERA with an 87 whip, 53 strikeouts, 9 walks, and 47 innings pitched thus far this year. The Angels, Jorge Soriano, he was only allowed 1 run in his first 37 innings, only has a .24 ERA. Toronto's Dylan Cease, and New York Yankees Max Fried, and the Texas Rangers, Jacob DeGrom, 37 years old. Can he make 30 starts to this season? So these are names just instantly pops out. So look at, for example, Max Fried, Cam Schlittler. There's a couple extra Yankees mentioned, Warren out there as well. A lot of Yankees pitchers now adding to this list that is a possible candidates. I really like Jose Soriano. He's been fun to watch this season. I really liked his work. I've been tracking what he's been able to do. He's really been impressive. And it's great to see that coming from the Angels also. Dylan Cease, another name, getting another opportunity, this time out there in Toronto. Spent some time with the Padres, really looking to seal down the reason why he is just that good. And then a name that you probably thought you'd never hear of again, in like Cy Young or even record-setting league leading, is Jacob DeGrom. His age is up there, trying to make 30 starts, have a bounce back year with Texas. So it's a great list of guys out there. I think that could really be good candidates. Like I said, you have a solid six people, top tier pitchers out there that are already dealing with injuries and that they could affect the Cy Young Award decisions. But let's also throw out guys like Kevin Gausman with the Blue Jays, George Kirby with the Mariners, the Royals, Seth Lugo, Gavin Williams with Cleveland, also who was runners up in previous years. So the notion is kind of a blessing in disguise. I know yesterday I think we talked a little bit about Tyreek and how it may affect him on his offseason free agency. I really don't think that's going to take too much of an effect. A little bit financial issues, but think about winning the award. If you're one of these other guys that we just mentioned here in this final segment, Soriano, adding a side, Cease, guys who are possibly even going to become free agents this year, adding a name to adding a Cy Young to your resume could help a free agent market, could help your future with another organization. It could help you get paid as well. So just keep it now. That list kind of definitely shifts with Tariq Schoolball out of there, out of the option at this moment. Like I said, it really just depends how long he's out for. Um, but the interesting thing is going to be, well, what's next for him, right? What's next for the American League? Still no update on the hamstring injury. We will keep you guys up to date as soon as we learn more information. Like I said, definitely, we still have the opportunity. Let's remain optimistic right now at the back end of this stretch. Okay, we are so far 2-6 in this stretch, which means we got to win. That'll be 4-6. We at least have to win the rest of our games to finish this 13 game stretch above 500. Now, could we do that? We got the Astros coming up this weekend. Sure. I'm not saying that's unreasonable, but it starts off about turning things around. Our bullpen's been really the issue, but with the support of our, starting rotation, a good outing with Brady Singer tonight, our offense just keeps nailing at it. There's a chance that we can at least walk off. And I'm focused on the Cubs series right now because it looks like right now the National League Central is kicking our ass. And if that's going to be the conclusion, I'm very skeptic of how we will perform or contend in September. And so I hope that we can turn things around today, tomorrow, and have ourselves finish out a good road stand, not so good road stands, come home for 3 games before a day off on the 11th. The further we get into this, the more of a blessing that we're going to want to reach our hand out for Monday. But we still got a lot of baseball left to play, 5 games before our next day off, and we could do that. So that is all the time I have for you guys for today. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Have those notifications on so you don't miss a single episode. I want to apologize for the static lingering with the microphone. I'll hopefully make some adjustments today and have a better, clearer time tomorrow. Please follow us on our social media pages. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Please also download us, take us out there on the road, wherever you get your podcasts at. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, you name it, we're on it. But Appreciate you guys tuning into the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin, and until tomorrow, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.